Madam Chairman, members of the committee, my name is Galen Miller. I live at Priest Lake, Idaho. I happen to be very proudly, in fact, I happen to be the chair of the school board of Westmoreland County School District, but I'm here speaking as an individual. There have been 50 or so people ahead of me this morning who have very adequately expressed my concerns about Superintendent Luna's proposal. There's just a few things I'll speak to that I haven't heard. First of all, as far as the technology goes, I believe that Idaho taxpayers would appreciate seeing their monies spent in Idaho whenever we come to looking at payment for services from internet companies. I believe that we have a funding area from the Department of Lands Trust Fund, which the board, state board, does control the interest from that fund that hasn't been spoken to. I know that that's been saved for a rainy day. I think today is the rainy day. I'm not going to try to say what other people have said. I wanted to close just one thing. When I was in the Marine Corps in Southern California, I went to Fullerton Junior College to take a night course there. I had a Chinese instructor who had come from China to South Korea, North Korea to South Korea, and to the States just before the Korean War. An outstanding political science teacher. His comments were, you know, many of the citizens of the United States, to ensure their way of life, bleed red for their country. He said, but those of you that don't bleed red, maybe you should be prepared to bleed green for your country. I'm not so sure we're not at that time for Idaho citizens in our state to bleed a little bit of green to pay for our education in Idaho. Thank you.
Thank you. Terry?
Madam Chairman, Mr. Chairman, I had a pair of remarks here that explain all this stuff that everybody else has already said. So I'm going to go a little bit with the little notes that I've taken. And my first thing I'd like to say is, how did you guys actually get here without online classes? You know, how did we get people to the moon without online classes? In fact, we got people to the moon without even computers. We didn't have computers at that time. And so all of these, we keep thinking that technology is the answer and that we need to get kids up to different levels of information. But the kids that are successful in a classroom are not necessarily the kids with the most information. The kids that are successful in the classroom are the kids with the best internal motivation. The kids with the work ethic. The kids that get there on time, the kids that overcome their problems. They get that model from their teachers. Teachers, as you said over and over, you know, we bring our own supplies to the classroom. We go shopping on our own to bring in what we need. I brought all the pencils to my classroom at the beginning of the year. I brought paper, you know, 5 cents a packet. Great American capitalism that provided that for us. Well, we aren't there because we are interested in incentive pay. It's almost a disincentive to pay us. How many teachers are there for the money? If they're there for the money, they're not very smart teachers. Okay? We are already an extremely cost-effective state. We've won that race to the bottom. Okay? But our teachers are performing well for the people of the state, for the students in the classroom. That's what we need to emphasize, is that our teachers are already doing well. We need to provide the stuff that they need. A year ago, this committee made the decision to remove dedicated education funding from the property tax and put it into general revenue sales tax. You need to step up and find the income to invest in the future of this state.
Thank you. Jennifer? Madam Chair, Chairman, committee members, I appreciate this opportunity today. My name is Jennifer Swindell, and I'm the Public Information Director for the Caldwell School District. And I'm speaking on behalf today of our Superintendent, Roger Quarles, who could not be here. Our priority in Caldwell is student achievement, and I'm proud to say we went from 0 schools making adequate yearly progress to 8 in just the last few years. We've had a record number of graduates this last spring. We've increased daily attendance. We've reduced the number of discipline violations. And most importantly, our teacher retention right now is at an all-time high. Our success comes from employing highly effective teachers and building principals with the leadership capacity to help us strive forward. I wish pay for performance would have been in place the last few years because our teachers in Caldwell would have made a lot of money. So in Caldwell, we're on a road of continuous improvement, and there's one thing we just can't take, and that's more cuts to education funding. So that's why the administration in Caldwell is being proactive and committed to be a part of the solution. We understand the economic climate, and that's why we support Superintendent Luna's plan to reform education. We realize we cannot sustain the current education model with the current funding mechanisms. And since funding doesn't look like it's going to change, we need to change the model we're delivering. We fully support technology in the classroom, expanding online opportunities for students, local control, dual credit opportunities, rewarding great teachers. As long as we continue to improve student achievement, that has to be the bottom line. We're still calculating how this projected budget with the new divisors will affect our district, but rather than just saying no, we are working to say yes. We want to be efficient with tax dollars while still offering a personalized learning model for each individual child. We support innovation as long as student achievement is the #1 priority. Superintendent Luna is charged with making education work for all students in Idaho, and so are we. There's more than one way of educating kids and the funding mechanism to do it. We are very interested in Superintendent Luna's plan and willing to sit at the table to turn the financial constraints into creative solutions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Emma.
Madam Chair, Mr. Chair, members of the committee, thank you for having me today. My name is Emma Romhilt, and I will be testifying on behalf of the Idahoans for Choice in Education and sharing my experience as a recent high school graduate of 2009 and a current university student. I can personally attest to the importance of technology to education and real life. At my high school in a small town, rural Alaska, which might not be that different from small town, rural Idaho, all teachers were given a laptop, as well as students from the 7th grade to use till graduation. These laptops remained school property. Students each received their own to bring home with them, used for academic and personal purposes. Internet use was only given at home if the parents said it was okay. When connected to the school network, teachers had the power to monitor the students' computers to make sure that they were using their resources appropriately. And at the end of the year, laptops were returned, refurbished, updated, and given back to the students when the school year began again. There was a technology fee of $65 per year to help cover labor and upgrade costs. And this actually started as a statewide grant that soon the school district adopted to their own, and included in their own budgets. While technology is increasing faster and faster, those who are technologically illiterate are falling even farther behind at higher rates. It's called the digital divide. I fell victim to this because the tech program I just described to you, I was not eligible for because of my class could not have it for 4 consecutive years. The disparity between my computer skills and those of my little brothers is enormous. And while I was valedictorian, and yes, I cannot say that my success was because of a computer, I can say that I wish that I would have had these resources so I could have furthered my interests, and so that students who weren't interested in what we're learning at school could have gone beyond and found what they like to do.
1 minute, please.
Now, as a college student and in the honors program, competency at NNU, competency in using computer and internet access is essential to success. Most college applications are online. Scholarships, I found, are online. And finding jobs, you can do that online. I probably spend more time on my laptop researching than I do in the classroom. With proper guidance, students with laptops are better able to access information, use programs, and move forward with the rest of the world. Technology is an important tool. It's not the only tool in the toolbox, but it's becoming more and more important. And it will not wait for Idaho to decide if they want it or not, because the rest of the world has already decided, and your students have already decided. Thank you.
Thank you very much. John?
Thank you, Madam Chairman, committee. As I was thinking through this, I was thinking about the role of government and the role of parents, teachers, school personnel. And the government is the one that requires that children attend schools. The government essentially mandates policies and directives that we as parents have to abide by in the education of our children. In exchange for support and general acquiescence in these requirements, a system has been set up for all of us to participate so that parents, school personnel, and the people affected, and I submit to you, parents are probably primary, we can influence that school policy if it isn't working, or if we have a concern, or if we know that our child in that group, in his group or her group, is not responding. And that system is the local school board. And that's why I would like to suggest to you today that whatever you do, give as much flexibility as possible to our local school districts. These proposed changes usurp that historic role of the local school board. We as parents, citizens, taxpayers, should be able to have our voices heard by advising the teachers and administrators and our neighbor who sits on the local board. I submit that a statewide policy, a statewide bureaucracy, no matter how sincere, cannot possibly have the time to know the needs of the parents, the neighborhood, and the kids the way my family dentist, who sat on the local school board for over a decade, knew them. He heard every day from his patients, his neighbors, and his friends how particular methods, policies were working in that school, in our school district. Our neighborhood was able to influence district policy and keep our small but very effective, popular Monroe Elementary School open in the face of opposition from some district leaders, because we pointed out it was a successful school. It worked, and my two college-educated kids are proof of that. Those who want changes in our system should look at maybe starting a charter school and see if it works. Test whether online education will work for high school students.
Your time is up, John.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. It goes so quickly.
Thank you.
Lori?
Chairman Bell, Senator Cameron, and members of the committee, thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak to you today. I am Lori Steinecker from Payette. I'm a parent of a soldier who's currently serving in Iraq. I'm a local union leader, and I'm a 16-year veteran teacher who always strives to put my students first, even when that meant going against my doctor's orders and postponing a required surgery for breast cancer because I wanted to see my seniors complete their senior project. I teach students with learning disabilities, and I'm here to advocate for them. Mr. Luna's plan would hurt my students in many ways. One is online courses. These courses require a lot of reading, self-motivation, and organizational skills. And my students just don't have those skills. They need me in the classroom to help them get through and be successful. And I currently teach part-time at an online school to supplement the ongoing budget cuts that have been forced upon the school districts. And the failure rate at this school is astronomical. So I know personally that online schooling does not work for everyone. Secondly, pay for performance would also hurt my students because right? You know, what teacher is going to want my students who have a hard time succeeding in their classroom when their evaluation is being based on how well their students are succeeding? Right now, schools are a cooperative setting. We share ideas. We help each other out. But pay for performance would create a closed-door environment. Teachers would keep their great ideas to themselves, and it would create a competitive environment where students would be the ones to suffer. The bottom line is that
Please.
one must know how the education system works in order to change the education system. And the only way to know how the education system works is to be an educator. So please listen to those who know the education system best. Please listen to your educators.
Thank you very